concern was that I hadn't drafted my letter to Joe Biden saying I'm not going to enforce your laws, that I'm going to stand strong, cross my arms at the county line, and not let you come in here. Rest assured, I'm a big fan of the Second Amendment. My actions, I've always thought that actions should speak louder than words. I think most of you know where I stand on that. And just briefly, for those of you that don't, I have opened up CCW permits in this county for the first time in several sheriffs. I came into office with about 300 permits in a county with a population of 1.4 million people. And right now we're up to about 3,000 in county. I've about put 5 times the amount of staff in our CCW. I'm trying to keep up with demands. We've got so many appointments that we only open them up in 3-month blocks. So some of you may have seen frustration in trying to set an appointment where they're closed because we haven't opened the next block yet. We've done things like opened up a Saturday and ran 104 people through appointments to try and free up appointments to bring people closer to their appointment dates to get their CCW. I was voted the California Rifle and Pistol Association's Peace Officer of the Year for 2012 because of my position and my approach to firearms, for lawful firearm ownership, for responsible gun owners. Albeit someplace I encourage all of you to go, the Gun Owners of California fundraiser dinner on April 26th up in Rockland. I bought a table, and if you come, I'll certainly share some stories with you there as well. My point in all this is I've made no bones during the campaign or since saying that I am an ardent supporter of the Constitution and especially of the Second Amendment. I know right now, today, I can buy a weapon on the black market cheaper than I can buy in the store. So what does that tell you about supply and demand? You don't have to be an economist to know that there is a glut. There is a glut of weapons in the hands of people that don't need to have them. So, am I going to worry about those people? Yes. Now, conversely, am I going to worry about people that have shown a willingness to go through the legal hoops it takes to required to carry a weapon, that have shown a willingness to show up, demonstrate a proficiency in the weapon they want to carry, that have gone through the mental and emotional questions that they need to ask themselves before they carry a weapon, in the sense that they may have to use it to defend themselves. Am I really worried about those lawful, responsible gun owners that may choose, not all the time, certainly, but from time to time as their situation or activity might dictate, to be able to carry a weapon responsibly? Am I going to worry about those people, or am I going to worry about these people over here? I'm not worried about those people. I'm not worried. There's not been anyone in the history of Sacramento County been shot by a holder of a concealed weapons permit issued by this office. I'm not worried about these people. Now, will there be at some point? Probably. I hope and pray that it's someone protecting themselves or their family against something that's trying to do them harm, if that's the case, if it has to be. But otherwise, I think there's a remarkable restraint by folks that are showing a lawful willingness to carry a weapon in a concealed manner to go through the law. So that being said, the question remains, why haven't I written this law? Why haven't I written this letter like some of my sheriffs, certainly many of the sheriffs outside of California, but a few of the sheriffs inside California? It's a very simple explanation. I hope it carries some weight. It can sound like a cop-out, which is why I preface this by discussing my commitment to the Second Amendment in my deeds. I have found that I have a very powerful political voice here locally. I don't know why anyone would want to listen to Scott Jones, but apparently they want to listen to Sheriff Scott Jones. I have an opinion that matters to the people, and I spend a lot of time cultivating relationships under the Capitol Dome. Yes, with both parties. I gotta make good with the regime as well as the conservatives, such as myself. But I am part of the discussion in most political things, including gun control. If I were to write a letter to Joe Biden, basically standing at the border, as I said, with my arms crossed, saying, "You ain't coming here," I wouldn't be part of that discussion. I wouldn't have the ability to influence the discussion about gun control from the inside. And that's a discussion that needs to take place. Yeah. But it doesn't need to take place in terms of how do we make more laws to restrict guns from lawful gun owners and responsible gun owners. It has to do with a very complex issue. It's about mental health. It's about family structure. It's about a lot of the things that conservative circles talk about. It is going to be an uncomfortable discussion, to be sure. It's going to be a little bit painful. It's going to run the risk of stigmatizing people, yes, even young people. But it is a discussion that has to take place. If I write a letter, at least in my thinking, I won't have a seat at that table. Let me tell you what I have been doing. instead of writing a letter. Shortly after this happened, I went back to Washington, D.C. and met with the national sheriffs and the Major County Sheriffs Association. That group, you may have seen it on the news, formed a contingency that went and talked with the Vice President and several of the members on the Hill. I've met with the staffs of Dianne Feinstein, Nancy Pelosi, Congressman Barra now. I had met previously with Congressman Lungan, a good friend of mine. Congresswoman Matsui. I met with the Vice President's staff. I met with the COPS office and the Department of Justice. I met with all those people and became part of the national discussion. My encouragement is exactly like I'm telling you. We need to have a discussion. You need to know it's not going to be pleasant, it's not going to be comfortable, but it's a discussion that needs to happen. And it's not about gun control. Because you know what? I know two cops in Santa Cruz. The event I just came from is a Crime Victims United banquet honoring the two fallen officers in Santa Cruz. Sergeant Baker, Detective Butler. They were both killed by a Sig Sauer handgun. But you know what? The next day no one was talking about handgun control. So I asked the question, what if they were killed with an assault weapon? And again, what is the definition of assault weapon? It's a legislatively defined thing. But it's so much a part of California's vernacular that we think assault weapon, that's an assault weapon. But no one's talking about handgun control. Those officers are just as dead. And those officers could have just as easily been killed with an AR-15, Bushmaster, AK-47, any number of assault weapons. And the hue and cry statewide would have been fierce. See, another example why we need assault weapon and gun control. Well, we don't need gun control, we need criminal control. Last year, I'm proud to say, I created an impact division to combat youth and gang violence. Let me go back a little bit. I talked with Congressman Lunger in his office. He talked about terrorism. I talked about local concerns. He talked about the need to fight terrorism, to spend dollars on terrorism as opposed to local law enforcement issues. I said, Congressman, I won't try and change your mind, but I do want you to think about really what terrorizes people. Do you think people are worried about getting blown up at a sidewalk cafe? Or do you think they're worried about getting killed by random violence driving down Howe Avenue and being the victim of a rolling gun battle down the street or down 99? All of these things have happened in the middle of the day in so-called normal, non-gang neighborhoods. So that's what people are terrorized from. So I created an impact division to combat youth and gang violence. We had 13 gang-related homicides in just the unincorporated county in 2011. In 2012, with our impact division, we reached out to, we have Rancho Cordova Police Department, Citrus Heights, Galt, and Elk Grove Police Departments. We have the CHP and CDCR at the state level. We have Homeland Security, ICE, ATF at the federal level, combined in this effort. In all of those jurisdictions in 2012, again, Rancho, Citrus Heights, Galt, Elk Grove, and the unincorporated area, from just 13 in the unincorporated area, we had 1 in all of those jurisdictions in 2012. I got 367 guns out of the hands of criminals, including 199 long rifles and assault weapons. Those are the people I need to take the guns from.
That's right. That's right.